there, welcome to News at 10 on Rajya Sabha television, and in the next 30 minutes I'll be taking you through the biggest news stories from India and across the globe, starting with the headlines. Last day of withdrawal of nominations for the second phase of polls in Gujarat, high voltage campaigning on. Prime Minister targets Congress over criticism of GST. Rahul Gandhi attacks centre over farmers' issues. Global Entrepreneurship Summit to conclude in Hyderabad. Niti Aayog and Prasar Bharati CEOs to address. Ivanka Trump backs the greater participation of women in workforce. Centre asks the Delhi government to sell onion under PDS. Other state governments asked to sell after purchasing at lower prices. Process of importing onion initiated. India and Singapore sign agreement to deepen maritime security cooperation. Both sides call for ensuring freedom of navigation. And the US asks all nations to cut off diplomatic and trade ties with North Korea. At emergency United Nations Security Council meet makes push for China to cut off oil to Pyongyang. Today is the last day for the withdrawal of candidature for the second phase of polls in Gujarat. The process for the nomination of the second phase of polls to be held on 14th of December began on 30th of November. A total of 93 constituencies will vote in this phase. The BJP and the Congress have released their final lists of candidates for the two-phase polling in the state. 9 of the sitting MLAs have been by the two parties together, including former Chief Minister Anandiben Patel. The first phase of voting, in which 89 constituencies will take part in the voting, will take place on 9th of December, and the results for the 182-member assembly polls will be declared on 18th of December. Campaigning is at its peak in the Gujarat elections, and the contest is shaping to be a battle between the BJP, which is championing the gains from what has been called the Gujarat model of development, and the opposition has focused on targeting these claims and calling them hollow, turning the Gujarat Assembly elections into the model battle. Prime Minister Narendra Modi resumed his campaign for the Gujarat Assembly poll on Wednesday. He addressed several rallies in the southern district of the state, where polling will be held in the first phase on 9th of December. In his speeches, Prime Minister Modi continued with his blistering attack on the Congress party. Our correspondent Panchanan Mishra gets us this ground report.
Continuing his high decibel campaign in poll-bound Gujarat, Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a series of rallies in the state on Wednesday. At his first rally in the town of Morbi, the Prime Minister raised the issue of the water crisis in the region.
गुजरात में लोग भागीदारी थी, लाखों की संख्या में चेक डैम बनाया, पानी नो टीपू टीपू बचाओ, जन जागृति लावવાનો प्रयास करो, जन भागीदारी नो प्रयास करो. आखा देश में पानी ना तळ नीचा जता था, गुजरात एक ज એવું હતું કે જ્યાં પાણીના તળ ઉપર આવવા માંડ્યા. અને જ્યારે અમે ચેક ડેમ બનાયા અને ખેડૂતોએ ગામડે ગામડે ભરેલા જોયા, ચૈત્ર મહિનામાં જોયા, માગસર મહિનામાં જોયા, જેઠ મહિનામાં જોયા, તો એમની આંખોમાં ટાઢક વળી. અને એ વખતે મને યાદ છે, કચ્છ કાઠિયાવાડ ગુજરાતનો ખેડૂત અમારી આ ખાલી ચેકડેમની યોજનાથી એટલો ખુશ રહેતો હતો, એમને થતું કે આ ભાજપવાળાને અમારા પ્રશ્નની સમજણ પડી અને કર્યું.
Prime Minister Modi targeted Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi for his sarcastic remarks about the GST. Modi claimed that people who looted the country can only think of dacoits.
જેમણે જિંદગી ભર જનતાની તિજોરીઓ પર ડાકાગીરી કરી હોય, એમને ડાકુઓ સિવાય બીજા કોઈની યાદ ના આવે ભાઈ. અને એટલા માટે આજે એક નવો ગ્રાન્ડ સ્ટુપિડ થોટ જીએસટી ગ્રાન્ડ સ્ટુપિડ થોટ એ એમ કે છે કે અમે બધા જીએસટી 18% કરી નાખીશું. હું જરા પૂછવા માંગુ છું ભાઈ, તમે ગરીબોની આ સેવા કરવાની વાત કરો છો?
At another rally in Prachi, Modi hit out at the opposition party for making what he called false promises to the OBC community. He asked why they did not give constitutional status to the National Commission for Backward Classes.
પણ રાજ્યસભામાં તમારી બહુમતી હતી, અમારી પાસે પૂરતા મત નહોતા, કારણ કે બંધારણીય સુધારો કરવો જરૂરી હતો અને તમે હવનમાં હાડકા નાખવાનું કામ કર્યું અને કાયદો પસાર ન થવા દીધો. ઓબીસીના હકને રોકવાનું કામ આ કોંગ્રેસ પાર્ટીએ કર્યું છે.
In Palitana, the Prime Minister invoked Mahatma Gandhi to criticize the opposition Congress. The Prime Minister concluded the day with a rally in Navsari in South Gujarat. Voting for the first phase in the state will be held on the 9th of December.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is warning voters against previous Congress rule in Gujarat state and also saying that it's the first time that there is a BJP government in center and state. So voters should utilize this situation and also vote wisely. In Morbi, with cameraman Junaid, this is Panchanan Mishra for Rajya Sabha TV.
And Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi is also in poll-bound Gujarat. He will be holding several meetings today, including ones in Amreli, Botad and Bhavnagar. On Wednesday, he began his two-day campaign in the state with a visit to the famous Somnath temple. He then addressed an election rally at Visavadar in Junagadh district, which is a Patidar-dominated constituency in the politically crucial Saurashtra region. In his speech, Rahul Gandhi reached out to the Patidar community. He also attacked the Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the Rafale deal.
आपने क्या गलती की है? हिंदुस्तान के किसान ने क्या गलती कर दी कि हिंदुस्तान के सबसे 10 अमीर लोगों का कर्जा माफ हो सकता है, मगर हिंदुस्तान के किसान का कर्जा माफ हो ही नहीं सकता? अब मैं आपको एक और बात बताता हूं. दिसंबर में जैसे कांग्रेस पार्टी की सरकार आएगी, जो काम मोदी जी 22 साल के लिए नहीं कर पाए, मैं आपको 10 दिन में करके दिखा दूंगा.
And in a strategically placed public meeting, Patidar leader Hardik Patel also campaigned just 30 kilometers away from Prime Minister Narendra Modi's campaign spot, Morbi, on Wednesday. Patel addressed farmers of poll-bound Saurashtra region and urged the people to change the leadership in Gujarat. Patel also said that he will continue to interact with the locals in the poll-bound state. Hardik Patel is scheduled to hold 10 rallies in Saurashtra region before the first phase of polls on 9th of December.
अभी भाई ये बताइए कि अभी आप जो है कामयाब रहे, भीड़ को जुटाने में कामयाब रहते हैं, लेकिन बीजेपी खिलाफ कर रहे हैं, सपोर्ट किसका कर रहे हैं ये खुलकर नहीं बता रहे.
मैं बता ही तो रहा हूँ बीजेपी खिलाफ कौन है. कांग्रेस को सपोर्ट मिलेगा. मैं चाहता हूँ आप भी कर दो.
ये बताइए, जो विकास की बात हो रही है लगातार 22 सालों की, आप भी कह रहे हैं कि विकास नहीं हुआ, वहाँ दावा है कि पूरा विकास हुआ.
क्या मुझे किसानों का विकास चाहिए? मुझे वो रिवर फ्रंट वाला विकास नहीं चाहिए. मुझे अदानी जो सूट पहनता है या वो ब्लेजर पहनता है उसका विकास नहीं चाहिए. मुझे किसान के जो धोती पहनता है उस धोती पर एक भी दाग नहीं चाहिए. वो विकास चाहिए.
On to some other news. The 3-day Global Entrepreneurship Summit will conclude in Hyderabad today. On the last day of the event, Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant is slated to speak at the event. Also, Prasar Bharati CEO Shashi Shekhar Vempati will also speak on the topic Own Your Message by Effectively Using Traditional and Social Media. The closing session of the event will bring together key influencers that support, promote and fund women entrepreneurs. The panelists will also share efforts to advance women in leadership positions. The closing ceremony will be moderated by Minister of Commerce and Industry Suresh Prabhu. Co-hosted by the governments of the United States and India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the three-day summit along with the US President's daughter and advisor Ivanka Trump on Tuesday. And Ivanka Trump, advisor to the US President Donald Trump, has batted for the formulation of policies that support a greater participation of women in the workforce. She said that technology can be used to allow women to work from their homes and reduce the gender gap. She said this during a panel discussion at the Global Entrepreneurship Summit in Hyderabad on Wednesday. Ivanka Trump said that policymakers need to devise ways to support the modern workforce and the modern reality in households. She also pointed out that there is a need to fuel skill training and develop the workforce in order to align what is being taught in the classroom with the economic realities.
And we need to start thinking about ways to support the modern workforce and the modern reality of dual income households. I think technology is a great driver of entrepreneurship because a lot of women are leaving and saying this doesn't work for me, and it's emboldening them to go out on their own. Technology is reducing barriers to starting new businesses. It's creating flexibility around schedule. So you can work just as many hours or more, but maybe you work some of them after you've put your child to sleep.
And let's take a look at what else is making news across the country in Nationwide. The Railways has unveiled the new Swarn coaches of the Rajdhani Express. The facilities in these coaches include auto janitor system in toilets and LED lightings. The coaches have been initially provided in the Sialdah New Delhi Rajdhani. The winter session of the Uttar Pradesh legislature will commence from 14th of December. The government is likely to table the supplementary budget and introduce bills to repeat ordinances promulgated during the inter-session period. The business advisory committees of the two houses will decide as to how many sittings will be held during the session. The 1,073-kilometer-long Paradeep-Raipur-Ranchi petroleum products pipeline has been dedicated to the nation. Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan dedicated the pipeline during an event held in Chhattisgarh's Korba district. He said that the new facility will further strengthen storage and distribution of petroleum products in Chhattisgarh. The pipeline will feed 5 terminals covering 57 districts across 3 states. The Odisha government has released about 365 crore rupees for the rain-hit farmers in 19 districts of the state. The fund was released from the State Disaster Relief Fund to be distributed. As per reports, nearly 4.07 lakh hectares of agricultural land in 14,720 villages have been affected by unseasonal rain. The high-altitude tribal areas and mountain passes in Himachal Pradesh received a fresh snowfall on Wednesday, while the mid and low hills had a clear and sunny day. The local Met Office has forecast a dry weather in the region till 5th of December. And in News at 10, we'll take a very short break. We'll be back with more news.
Hi, I am Dr. Rajan. I am a senior scientist in Institute of Genomics and Integrative Biology that is coming under CSIR. We are going to discuss my lab, who is doing a fantastic work in asthma, COPD, lung cancer and many other diseases. Keep watching Eureka.
Welcome back after the break. President Ramnath Kovind will address the Mizoram Legislative Assembly today. He will also inaugurate the Housing for the Poor project at a function in Raj Bhavan. President Kovind landed in Mizoram capital Azawal on Wednesday on a 2-day state visit. On 1st of December, the president is scheduled to inaugurate the Hornbill Festival and the State Formation Day celebrations of Nagaland before leaving for Delhi. And Uttar Pradesh Governor Ram Naik on a Wednesday called on Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu, and the meeting was held at a Vice President's residence. It was a courtesy call by the governor. The two leaders discussed several issues of importance. And now an update on the Padmavati row, and a parliamentary panel has asked Padmavati film director Sanjay Leela Bansali and the censor board chief Prasoon Joshi to appear before it today. The two have been asked to appear before the Parliamentary Committee on the Information Technology. They have been asked to present their views on the controversy surrounding the movie, which has been accused of distorting history by some sections of the society. The 30-member panel has also asked the producers of the movie and the officials of the Information and Broadcasting Ministry to appear before it and brief it about the controversy relating to the film that is yet to be cleared by the censor board. As allegations of distorting history in the film triggered protests in various states, the makers of the movie have deferred its release date. The film was originally scheduled to be released on 1st of December. And the centre has stepped into the issue of addressing rising prices of onion. It has asked the Delhi government to sell the onion under the public distribution system, while Maharashtra and other state governments have been asked to sell it after purchasing at lower prices. Food Minister Ram Vilas Paswan said that the onion is still available between 28 and 35 rupees per kilogram in places like Nashik, Solapur, Alwar and Indore. He said that the government has also initiated the process of importing onion, and NAFED and other agencies have been directed to take urgent measures to tackle the price rise. He asserted that prices of onion will come down during the next 10 days after the arrival of new Kharif crop. The minister admitted that sowing has been lesser this year as compared to previous years. And the weather department has predicted heavy to very heavy rainfall in parts of southern Tamil Nadu over the next 36 hours. According to the Met Department, the depression lying over the southwest bay has intensified into a deep depression, leading to moderate to heavy rains in Kanyakumari and Tuticorin districts. The district administration and adjoining areas have declared leaves for schools and colleges for the day. The weather department has further added that the present depression may also intensify into a cyclone for a short period of time. However, the present spell of rain has brought cheer to the farmers. And let's take a look at some of the developments that will be following today in Day Ahead. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu will today inaugurate the 21st International Conference on Small and Medium Enterprises at the India Habitat Centre in New Delhi. The event is being organized by World Association for Small and Medium Enterprises. It aims to promote SME development initiatives by integrating them with the UN's 2030 agenda of achieving sustainable development goals. India's second quarter, that is July to September GDP data, is expected to be announced today. The second quarter GDP data is going to record the impact of the GST on the economy for the first time since its implementation. The draw for the Delhi Development Authority's new housing scheme, for which the urban body has received over 46,000 applications, would be held today. The 12,617 flats across 4 income categories are located at places in Delhi. The entire procedure will be web streamed live. And India and Singapore have decided to work together in the Asia-Pacific region to ensure freedom of navigation in their fight against transnational terrorism. They will also coordinate with other regional countries for the smooth movement of goods and services. Defence Minister of Singapore, Ng Eng Hen, is in Delhi on a 2-day visit to discuss issues of mutual importance. Take a look.
The defence ministers of India and Singapore held extensive talks in New Delhi on Wednesday.
Both sides signed an agreement to deepen cooperation in maritime security. It is intended to ensure safety against transnational terrorism and freedom of navigation while combating chemical and biological attacks.
Signing of a Navy-to-Navy agreement today reflects our intention and commitment to further deepen cooperative endeavors in our shared maritime domain to address mutual concerns. This agreement will enable a broader range of cooperative activities between our navies, such as supporting temporary deployments for each other's naval facilities, as well as enhancing maritime domain awareness.
That we were able to decide very quickly on our approach to issues such as terrorism and maritime security, which included capabilities in responding to chemical, biological, and radiological threats, as well as the need for information sharing against the threat of terrorism. We both shared the concern with the developments in Iraq and Syria, that the theater of operations for terrorism can shift to our parts of the world.
The India-Singapore cooperation will also include coordination with other ASEAN countries for joint naval exercises.
The Defence Minister of Singapore responded positively to my proposal that we proactively move towards continuous, institutionalized naval engagements in our shared maritime space, including setting up maritime exercises with like-minded countries and our other ASEAN partners. This also reflects India's commitment to stay strongly engaged in the Asia-Pacific and the Indian Ocean region in collaboration with our friends and partners like Singapore.
Not only from the point of view of our militaries being able to respond, but to hold accountable, whether they were state-sponsored or non-state-sponsored or non-state actors, those who were responsible for the perpetration of these terrorist acts.
Both ministers also agreed to ensure greater collaboration in aerospace, electronics and other areas of mutual interest between defence industries in both countries. Akhilesh Suman's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And India and Italy on Wednesday signed a memorandum of understanding for enhanced cooperation in the health sector. Health Minister J.P. Nadda and his Italian counterpart Beatrice Lorenzin signed the MOU in the presence of senior officials from the Health Ministry and high-level delegations from Italy. Nadda stated that both the nations share a strong and rich traditional relationship which has been enhanced by high-level visits. The MOU recognizes the potential for exchanges in the health sector between the two nations and the need to tap the capabilities and opportunities in a focused and comprehensive manner. A Health Ministry statement said that the main areas of cooperation will be exchange and training of medical doctors, officials, other health professionals, and by assistance in the development of human resources and setting up of healthcare facilities as well. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj is in Russia's Sochi to represent India at the SCO or the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. On Wednesday, Sushma Swaraj was received by the mayor of Sochi and the Indian ambassador to Russia, Pankaj Saran. External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Ravish Kumar tweeted the pictures, saying External Affairs Minister arrives in the picturesque town of Sochi to attend the SCO Council Heads of Government meeting. The summit will be held today and tomorrow. Apart from attending the summit, Sushma Swaraj will also hold bilateral meetings with several leaders on the sidelines. She will also attend a reception hosted by Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev. The SCO summit is likely to discuss issues related to the regional security scenario, including the situation in Gulf and Afghanistan. India is also likely to press for concerted regional and global efforts to contain terrorism. India, along with Pakistan, had become full-fledged members of the SCO in the month of June. SCO is a China-dominated security grouping increasingly seen as a counterweight to NATO.
On 30th November, EAM will have bilateral meetings and attend the reception hosted by the Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev. On 1st December, EAM will attend the restricted meeting of the heads of delegation, which will be followed by the preliminary session. On the same evening, EM will again attend a reception hosted by the Russian Prime Minister for all members of the delegation.
Our top international focus, the United Nations Security Council has, during an emergency meeting in New York on Wednesday, strongly condemned North Korea over its test of a new missile that flew higher and longer than any of its previous missiles. During the meet, U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, said that the rogue regime's actions have brought the world closer to war. She said that the U.S. did not seek conflict, but that North Korea's regime would be utterly destroyed if a war broke out. The U.S. further asked all the nations to cut diplomatic and trade ties with North Korea, specifically demanding China to cut off oil supplies to Pyongyang. China is North Korea's biggest ally and most important trading partner. The United Nations Security Council emergency meet was requested by the US, South Korea and Japan shortly after North Korea's launch on Tuesday. Now, experts say that the new Hwasong-15 missile theoretically gave North Korea the ability to hit the US mainland, although it was not clear whether it could carry a nuclear weapon.
China must show leadership and follow through. China can do this on its own, or we can take the oil situation into our own hands. The dictator of North Korea made a choice yesterday that brings the world closer to war, not farther from it. We have never sought war with North Korea, and still today, we do not seek it. If war does come, it will be because of continued acts of aggression like we witnessed yesterday. And if war comes, make no mistake, the North Korean regime will be utterly destroyed.
And let's now get you all the sporting action in Sports Wrap. The Competition Commission has imposed a fine of 52.24 crore rupees on the Board for Control of Cricket in India for anti-competitive practices with respect to Indian Premier League. Apart from directing the BCCI to desist from unfair practices, the Fair Trade Regulator asked it not to place restriction on the organisation of professional domestic cricket league by non-members. The Boxing Federation of India was on Wednesday recognized as a national body by the Indian Olympic Association, which removed the terminated Indian Amateur Boxing Federation as its affiliate after months of indecision. The BFI, already recognized by the International Boxing Association and the Sports Ministry, finally got the IOA's the nod, which had Indian Amateur Boxing Federation registered as the official body till now. And Wayne Rooney scored a stunning goal as his hat-trick led Everton to a much-needed 4-0 win over West Ham in the Premier League. Defender Ashley Williams added the fourth late on, powering a header from a corner as West Ham remained in 18th position.
Williams! It just gets better for Everton.
That's all in this news bulletin, but news and updates continue on your channel. Thanks for watching.